A brand new $400 million drilling rig has to go from South Korea to Europe. 31,000 tons pulled by just a single tug, connected by just one steel cable.
One of the wires of the connection could break.
Potentially lethal for the crew.
Always we need to be careful on the wire. If any tension coming, we need to just run away.
A unique mega transport, halfway around the world. Osan, South Korea, Hyundai Heavy Industries, the largest shipyard in the world. And the birthplace of this giant, the West Bolsta, the largest semi-submersible drilling rig in the world. It is 122 meters long and fully loaded weighs 31,000 tons, as much as 55 Airbus A380s, with a maximum drilling depth of 12 kilometers. Theoretically, it could drill through Mount Everest almost 1.5 times. From the very bottom to the top, it measures 122 meters, making it taller than the Statue of Liberty. It took all of 6 years to make, and now it is finished. And ready for its first deployment, a full 25,000 kilometers away. From the starting point in Ulsan, South Korea, the rig will head to Indonesia, and then through the Sunda Strait. From there, the route leads across the Indian Ocean and around the Cape of Good Hope. In 90 days, the team will arrive at their destination, Tenerife, Spain. This epic journey begins in just a few hours. But not before this man gives the final go, Oscar Wiklund, master of the rig.
So let's go have a look here on the sea fastening.
The surface area of the West Bolsta is larger than a football field. Master Oscar's assignment before any departure, secure every square inch of it.
It's really important that everything of our equipment we have on decks around the rig, which are loose, it's secured like this. Because during the transit we do expect and can expect to have some movements, some bad weather, strong winds, and we need to be prepared for that.
One lifeboat alone weighs almost 20 tons. If it comes loose on the high seas, it would be life-threatening for the crew. But even smaller loose parts are a safety problem, especially if they fall off the West Bolsta's derrick.
Yeah, the derrick is very high. It's straight underneath from we're standing here now, all the way to the top, straight underneath 80 meters. So it's high. It takes time to climb.
Fortunately, there's an elevator. It takes about a minute to top out on the derrick deck. Together with 40 workers, Master Oscar will be on the West Bolsta throughout the entire mega transport. The crew uses the crossing for some final preparatory work. If problems arise on the way, they can react quickly.
For the coming 3 months, we're gonna have the towing vessel in front of us. So that's gonna be exciting.
Transport to Europe will be carried out by a special tractor. It's a rather unusual transport method. Normally, big drilling rigs are transported using semi-submersible heavy lift vessels. But this is not possible with the West Bolstad. The reason is the propulsion system. It has a total of 8 thrusters directly under its pontoons. With these thrusters, it holds its position above a wellhead when operating, or moves from one location to the next. If it were transported with a semi-submersible, it would rest on the thrusters and damage them. Later in the afternoon comes the moment of truth. Master Oscar gives his go for the casting off. It takes an excavator to move the heavy ropes that hold the huge drilling rig to the pier. The anchors of the West Bolstad are so gigantic, each of them weighs 18 tons. Too heavy for the platform's own anchor windlasses. Here in the harbor, a crane lifts it. On the open sea, a specific vessel arrives for this maneuver. The very first stage of the transport is carried out by harbor tugs. 6 of them are needed to move the West Bolstad. Six years after the shipyard staff welded together the first steel plates for the drilling rig, the giant is now leaving its birthplace. And setting off on what will probably be its longest journey. 25,000 kilometers at a stretch to the other side of the world. The star of this mega transport is the ALP Striker, the world's most powerful ocean-going tug. 89 meters long, 21 meters wide, and with a top speed of the equivalent of 35 kilometers per hour. Thanks to her engine strength of over 24,000 horsepower, she has a bollard pull of 309 tons, more than any other tug in the world. Responsible that the $400 million rig reaches its destination on time and undamaged is this man, Kees Pronk, the captain of the ALP Striker.
Steady as she goes.
As one of the tug company's most experienced captains, he knows that a lot can happen during the 3 months of towing a drilling rig over the high seas.
It's a huge drilling rig. According to the papers, it's one of the biggest drilling rigs in the world. So it's also very nice that the biggest ocean-going tug will tow the biggest drilling rig. Of course, it's a challenge. It's a trip halfway around the world. We can expect some bad weather, of course, during the voyage.
The pressure is high. At the destination in Europe, they're already eagerly awaiting the delivery of the West Bolstad. Every day of delay means a 6-figure loss for the rig operator and hefty cost overruns for the tug company. Captain Kees plans to spend the rest of the day preparing the 2-kilometer-long towing configuration, a steel wire and chain construction. Then, first thing in the morning, they'll begin connecting it. While everything on deck is going according to plan, on the bridge, the first problem has already presented itself.
We are now in contact with the VTS. They gave us an anchor position. Only it's a little bit too far from the drilling rig, so stand by. Boost on VTS, Striker, go ahead.
In order not to lose any time the next day, Captain Kees wants to anchor as close as possible to the drilling rig, but the Port Authority has some objections.
What is your safe distance from the West Bolstad? Then we will look for a position. What is the minimum safe distance?
The minimum safe distance are at least 5 cables, 0.5 nautical miles.
The Port Authority insists on a greater safety distance. The risk of a collision is too high. Captain Case has to find a compromise.
Yes, this is ALP Striker. We find a new position, 0.6 cables, 0.6 nautical miles from the West Bolstad.
If the Port Authority rejects the proposal, the whole schedule will be ruined.
North and 129 degrees, 04.
AS Striker, please check this position and you can drop it.
Copy that. Position is good. We will proceed to that and we will let you know when we drop our anchor. Thank you. Stand by. All right, let's go to that position.
Just over a kilometer from the rig, the ALP Striker finally anchors. The last quiet night for the tug crew. The next day, 6 in the morning. In 8 hours, at the latest, Captain Case wants to leave South Korea with the huge rig in tow.
I'm turning the vessel now and slowly proceeding to the West Bolstad, and then we will start making preparations for our on deck. And once we are ready in the West Bolstad, we will start.
Despite the time pressure, the crew must take care not to make any mistakes during the connecting process. After all, the connection has to last a full 3 months. To make sure the tug can pull the 31,000-ton rig on its own, it requires an ingenious system of chains and steel cables. First, the crew mounts a steel wire in combination with massive chains to the pontoons of the rig. A part called Delta Plate connects the 2 wires to the LAP Striker's 8-centimeter thick main towing wire. Thanks to this triangular arrangement, the tensile forces are spread evenly. This relieves the load on the fixing points and wires and makes them more durable. It also enhances maneuverability. 2 emergency wires ensure that the ALP Striker can reconnect to the West Bolstad in case the main connection snaps during a storm. The captain's right-hand man responsible for a safe wire connection is Chief Mate Dmitry Nefedov.
Very good condition. Everything already done, prepared, just small thing. But anyway, step by step, we will fix any issue will comes.
Dmitry can't count the number of times he has discussed the mounting plan with his team over the last few days. Whether or not it will work will only become clear in the next few hours.
We'll see. I believe everything goes smoothly.
Captain Case is moving the tug into position. The team is ready to go. Step 1. Attach the 2 60-meter-long emergency wires to the rig's anchor chains. During the crossing, they hang loose and are only used in case of an emergency.
Deck bridge. Okay, they lowering down the pennant. Please, one guy in contact with the crane for the handling.
The West Bolstad crane lifts the first of the huge anchor chains onto the deck of the tug. A safety pin keeps them in place while they're being connected to make sure no one gets hurt.
It's dangerous work. It's really dangerous. Because always under tension, all equipment, all gears, and very heavy. You can see it.
This shackle alone weighs almost 150 kilograms. It connects the anchor chain with the emergency wire.
The pin of the shackle will fit through the chain, there's no issue?
Yeah, no issue. You need to move a little bit.
This is a mega transport in which even the smallest parts are huge. On the bridge, one thing counts above all else: keep calm.
I'm keeping at the moment the vessel in a proper position and having the complete overview that the vessel stays in position, the crew on deck is working good. I'm not really busy with like the guys on deck with wires, shackles and things like that, but in my mind, yeah, it's making overtime.
Because in the end, no matter who makes the mistake, he's responsible. On deck, the crew has now attached the first emergency wire to the anchor chain.
Next step, crane, drop down, wire, and hook up to another end of this pennant. Pick up and move away. One step down.
The crane lifts the chain and the emergency wire back onto the rig. In case the main connection breaks during the journey, the rig crew attaches a light buoy to it and throws the wire into the water. It's the only chance they have to reconnect.
Okay guys, clear. Be careful, here. Clear, inside.
Boss, you can take out safety pin. Got safety pin.
The first step is complete. The emergency wires are in position.
Well, we calculated for the whole procedures to take about an hour, and it also took 1 hour. So at the moment we are on schedule, no delay, so everything goes fine at the moment.
Only now does the crew begin with the most important step: connecting the drilling rig and the tug. Captain Case needs to change the tug's position. To attach the massive steel chains to the pontoons of the drilling rig, the ALP striker has to drive extremely close to the rig. Chief Mate Dmitry gives final instructions to his crew.
I don't know, no idea. Maybe good luck?
They can certainly use that. Dmitry's primary assistant on deck is bosun Razel Dialeg. He's coordinating the deck crew. For the maneuver, a part of the tug crew transfers to the West Bolsta. The plan is to connect one pontoon at a time. To get the chain from the tug to the pontoon, the ALP striker has to get even closer to the rig, just 5 meters away. Neither of them is firmly anchored. In order to minimize the risk of a collision, the crew attaches a radar amplifier at the West Bolsta. It amplifies the position signal for the ALP striker. That way, the onboard computer can hold the tugboat's position accurate to an incredible 20 centimeters, in spite of the swell.
They need to connect it lower hoist to the masting and bring directly inside the Smith breaker.
With the hoist, they pull the chain over.
Okay, yeah, keep it.
They're all under a lot of pressure. The tension is high. They know that any mistake they make now will not become apparent until they're already on the high seas, pulling their $400 million freight.
Now it's very main step. We need to connect third chain, chafing chain to Smith bracket. It's not so easy.
The part attached directly to the pontoon is called the chafing chain. It alone weighs a good 4 tons, as much as 3 small cars.
I need 3 or 4 people to take this one, to lift this one.
It takes time to position the unwieldy iron chain with centimeter precision. Captain Case is getting impatient.
Guys, above the pin you have a vertical bar, that's for hammering. Use the vertical bar on top of it for hammering. Yes, thank you. There is always a small chance that something could happen, like one of the wires of the connection could break.
Finally, the crew succeeds in positioning the chain. A 25 centimeter thick bolt holds it in place.
Everything is fine. We almost finished the job.
Lubricating grease in the lead should prevent the solid steel from breaking due to friction. The preparations for the spectacular mega transport are half done. Now, it's time for connecting the second pontoon. By now, the team is experienced with this specific set of gear. In the early afternoon, both pontoons of the rig are connected to the ALP striker. Captain Case wants to avoid starting in the dark because there is a lot of traffic around the coast.
Once they are back on board, we will slowly move to the center, more to port, and then we will pay out this side, and then we will start making the final connection on the delta plate.
The last step is to connect the chains that the crew has attached to the pontoons of the rig to the main towing wire. The connecting piece, the so-called delta plate, is a solid steel plate. It will be underwater during the entire transport. That means they can't monitor it along the way. The team also secures each connection using a cotter pin. It prevents the huge screws from loosening due to the enormous load.
Put on the pin for left. Okay, put on the pin.
Now comes the decisive moment. The wire construction has to be under tension before they can tell whether the crew has done a good job.
Yeah, I am happy because everybody alive. It's the first priority. and job is done as well, successfully.
The connection is established. The Mega Transport is ready for its journey halfway around the world. Just in time, shortly before nightfall, the team leaves for Europe. They should arrive there in just 90 days. The first big stage of the route leads the team from Ulsan in South Korea across the Indian Ocean to Walvis Bay in Namibia. There, they will replenish supplies, refuel, and swap part of the crew. On the way there are short stops in Singapore and Mauritius. The first stage is scheduled to take 65 of the total 90 planned days. At first, the team is lucky. The weather is agreeable. At around 13 kilometers per hour, they are even faster than planned. On day 20, they are already approaching the Sunda Strait. But it is winter in Asia, and the weather can change at any time. On ALP Stryker's bridge, Captain Case therefore constantly checks the forecast.
Four times per day we receive an update of the weather, and then we can closely monitor that, see if there is bad weather coming or less favorable weather, and according those forecasters then we can decide if we stay on the route or we will change a little bit our heading to avoid bad weather or to look for the current, because when you are towing it's also very important.
Avoiding bad weather is the top priority, because the more wind, the higher the swell, the slower the ALP Stryker can go. A storm would mean a complete stop and a costly delay to the Mega Transport by several days. The West Bolsta is extremely sensitive to wind. During transport, the rig has a draft of only 13 meters and floats on the water. Its large superstructures work like a sail. Strong wind could carry her far away. In the worst-case scenario, the wire connection could break. To avoid that, the West Bolsta crew can initiate a plan called survival draft. They flood their ballast tanks in the pontoons with seawater, sinking the rig a further 7 meters. This shifts its center of gravity and stabilizes the rig. Day 30 of the Mega Transport. In the meantime, the team has reached the Indian Ocean. The supervision of the valuable cargo is a full-time job for the captain and his officers.
Most important thing is the tension meter. The graph, how the tension is going. If it is too jumpy, then you can reduce the power. And if it's more or less steady, then keep going. Yeah, and also the traffic around you, some vessels. Well, in our area could be some fishing vessels, but it's kind of very hard to detect using our radar, so you better have to keep a very good lookout.
A ship passing between tug and rig could, in the worst case, damage the main towing wire. During transport, enormous forces act on the wire connection at all times. So far, the connection is held. But there are still almost 15,000 kilometers to go. That's why Captain Case regularly checks the connection with his drone. The earlier he discovers any damage, the greater the chance of being able to repair it in time. His main focus is on the attachment points of the chains. Waves, salt water, and up to 100 tons of tensile force also affect the massive iron chains.
Look at the connection on the pontoon, see if the quick release bracket is still good. Here at the Panama lead, there are no damages or things like that.
Everything looks good there, but there is a problem with the emergency wire. The waves have tangled it up on the pontoon.
So in case of the main tow line connection is breaking and we need to connect on the emergency pennant, it will not be possible on the aft side because it's turned around this bollard. So I will inform West Bolsta now, the OIM, to see if they can solve this problem, if they can do it now or otherwise in the next port of call.
A dangerous situation that Captain Case only recognized in good time, thanks to regular drone checks.
West Bolsta, AOP Striker.
AOP Striker, West Bolsta.
During the entire mega transport, the rig is manned by almost 40 personnel. Their task is to intervene quickly in precisely such cases. Due to its huge size and its draft of 13 meters, the West Bolsta creates a lot of resistance. An enormous load for the engines of the ALP Striker, which must run constantly on full power. Therefore, the engine control room of the tug is manned around the clock. Denis Shumakov is the chief engineer on board.
Here on this vessel, it's a lot of equipment, you know, a lot of systems. Just to find it time if we have some leaking, if we have some problems, if we have some abnormals. Because a lot of equipment in same moment running here.
Although all technology is computer monitored, Chief Engineer Denis and his team take a tour of the engine room every 4 hours. First item on the checklist, the 4 6,100 horsepower engines of the ALP Striker. Denis checks the pressure in the cylinders. Next up is the control room.
Could be wrong. Some problem with frequency, some problem with load, some problem with another insulation, more or less. Actually, we have electrician, but in any cases, it's included in our round, you know, to be sure.
Last stop, the propeller shafts. They run through the entire vessel. After half an hour, the tour is finished.
So round is done, all okay.
And the next check is due in just 3.5 hours. Almost all crew members are on board during the entire 3-month mega transport. A long time without family, friends, and home comforts. This makes shared events, such as the Sunday barbecue on deck, all the more important. And the crew doesn't forget to have some fun. They especially enjoy karaoke.
Wala man, number man. Yan, okay. Okay mo?
Over the next few weeks, mile by mile, the team approaches its intermediate destination in Namibia. On the high seas, the ALP Striker pulls the drilling rig at a distance of almost 2 kilometers behind it. The greater the distance between tug and tow, the deeper the wire sags. This acts as a shock absorber, reducing the tension and thus protects the main towing wire and the chain anchors on the rig. This is the only way for the connection to survive the continuous load. However, this is only possible in deep water. Due to its own weight, the main towing wire hangs extremely low. At a full length of 2,000 meters, the deepest point is 120 meters below the surface. In shallow water, the steel cable would grind on the rocky seabed and break. So, when they are near a coastline, the crew has to pull the rig at a distance of around 400 meters minimum. Day 64 of the Mega Transport. Tomorrow, the team will call at the port of Namibia. So the crew has to start shortening the main towing wire now.
You just need to pay good attention when you are heaving in the wire, that you do it easy, not too fast, because then you can get to too high tensions on the wire.
A 10-centimeter thick rubber sheath protects the wire at the stern roller to keep it from chafing and damaging. In order to shorten the wire, this protector must now be removed. Bosun Rozel's deck crew is getting ready.
Striker, please deck.
Yes, bridge deck, go ahead.
Yeah, we are ready now.
Yeah, okay, you can start removing the clamps for the fixed protectors.
Roger that, start removing the clamps.
The wire is under extreme tension throughout the entire task.
It's really dangerous to work here, especially when the weather is moving. I mean, the vessel is moving all the time, so you have to be very careful, and also on the wire. You have to be very careful on it, and you have to watch each other.
A single wave can cause the 8-centimeter thick steel wire to jump and hit one of the crew members, potentially fatal.
Okay. Doon nyo natalhin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, please heave up the wire.
West Bolsta, Striker.
Striker, Bolsta.
Yeah, good afternoon. For your information, we will start heaving some tow wire. We will let you know once finished, and then we give the new length.
The main towing wire is attached to a huge winch that can handle up to 13 meters per minute. But after a short time, Captain Case has to stop.
Deck, bridge, Rozel. Yeah, we have some fishing line on the tow wire, so can you go to the aft, check with the guys, and cut away if necessary.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we'll go on deck now.
Yeah, thank you.
During the tow, the team has ran across a fishing line, which has wrapped itself around the main wire. If they don't remove it, it will get caught in the winch and block it.
These lines can be kilometers long.
Captain Case is afraid they'll lose a lot of time. The anchorages and tanker in the port in Walvis Bay are already booked. Each hour of delay costs thousands of dollars. Over the next few hours, they shorten the main towing wire meter by meter, while the ALP Striker begins its approach along the East African coast. They reach Walvis Bay as planned in the morning of day 65 of the Mega Transport.
Nice to see some land again after 4 weeks. 4 weeks ago we left Port Louis in Mauritius.
Here in Walvis Bay, the tug and rig have to replenish supplies and refuel. For safety reasons, they may not be connected when refueling. Responsible for disconnecting is chief mate Daniel Höegh. Again, they have to work quickly and with as much care as possible. After all, the wire construction is still under tension.
Always we need to be careful on the wire. If any tension coming, we need to just run away. The captain will drive from the bridge, so if he's losing position, can become a big angle. On a big angle, the wire can just snap like in 1 second.
The plan is to uncouple the main wire and transfer the towing connection to West Bolstad. That saves a lot of time. The downside is that the tug has to drive extremely close to the rig. To avoid a crash, the West Bolstad must retain a precise position. Therefore, its dynamic positioning system constantly analyzes wind, waves, and satellite information concerning the position of the rig. From this data, the program calculates the thrust and angle of the thrusters, which hold the rig in place, making adjustments automatically. Thanks to this system, the West Bolstad can maintain its position to an accuracy of ½ meter, even with waves reaching 5 meters high. For safety reasons, specially trained operators constantly monitor the control system on the West Bolstad bridge. Should the computer fail, they can intervene in an emergency.
At this moment, we have around 10 knots wind and calm sea. So it's enough to use 4 thrusters from 8 available. We are able to keep the position up to 20 centimeters.
The crew of the ALP Striker detaches the chain construction from the main towing wire.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Always stop.
Then they have to attach the whole thing to the West Bolstad crane. They finish it in record time. The entire task took just 1.5 hours.
Everything was good. Everybody still 10 fingers, that's important. So now we're getting ready again the deck for connection for today or tomorrow.
Straight onto the next task, because unless they leave Walvis Bay within 24 hours, the Höegh Transport won't reach its final destination in Tenerife on time. They still have 24 hours of hard work. Both the ALP Striker and the West Bolstad have to refuel. In order to achieve this, special tankers go to the anchorage. After almost 2 months of traveling, the storerooms of the ALP Striker are empty. Captain Case has ordered food worth several $1,000s. The entire crew, from the officer to the engine operator, will pitch in to help storing the supplies. And everyone is looking forward to dinner. They also take advantage of the stop to conduct an external inspection of the tug. At the rear of the tug, Chief Mate Daniel discovers an unusual substance.
This is not normal what we have now, all this white. Looks like some algae, but at the beginning I was thinking maybe some oil. And it's attacking the silicone, but it looks like only some algae. Okay, go to port side.
All clear, fortunately. While his crew continues to inspect the vessel below, up on the bridge, Captain Case is already preparing to cast off.
So the weather for the next days is looking really good. It's important that for the first 48 hours we need good weather because we will be still on some shallow waters. It's looking good. And for the rest of the voyage, the last part of the last part is looking real nice. So that's very good to know.
After less than 24 hours in Namibia, the ALP Striker already lifts its anchors again and embarks on the final stage of the Mega Transport. This leg of the journey will take the ALP Striker and its cargo from Walvis Bay in Namibia along the African coast around to Tenerife. They are scheduled to arrive in just 25 days. Almost 6,500 kilometers still lie ahead of them. But Neptune, god of the seas, is well disposed towards them. And so, early in the morning of day 90, the Mega Transport reaches its destination on time, the port of Santa Cruz, Tenerife. On its way from South Korea to the Canary Islands, the team has covered exactly 25,204 kilometers and crossed 3 oceans. All that remains is to loosen the connection to the rig.
For the disconnection operations, everything looks good. I don't expect any big problems. The weather is perfect, not much wind, not much sea.
On deck, the crew begins to haul in the chains. Then they loosen the connection, screw by screw. After 3 hours, it's done.
One moment, okay. Bolsta, Striker.
Striker, Bolsta, go ahead.
Yeah, well, after 3 months, that's finished.
Beautiful, appreciate all the cooperation, all the help. It was done in a full professional way. Everything was safely done. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, also same from our side. Happy to bring you over here, and let's hope till next time. Everything went safe. It was a long voyage, and now for us it's time to go home after a long trip.
Captain Case and his crew have done their job and delivered their valuable cargo to its destination on time and undamaged. The West Bolsta is now being prepared for its first drilling program. And for the crew of ALP Striker, it's time for some well-deserved rest until the next Mega Transport.
It is the biggest container ship in the world, the OOCL Hong Kong. She has the potential to change the transport business forever, to drive many other transport ships out of the market, and to conquer the 7 seas. No other ship moves as many containers as she does, but only if her maiden voyage is a success. The OOCL Hong Kong must reach her destination safely and on schedule, a risky race against time. She has never been tested on the high seas before. This maiden voyage is a true mega transport, and it will demand everything from the crew.
This is a very challenging thing to bring out a new ship like this.
The route goes through the Suez Canal and through pirate territory.
At sea, no one can help you.
A mega transport on the high seas. Now. Koche in South Korea. It is the busiest shipyard on Earth, as big as a small city. Over 35,000 people work here. They are building 6 container ships of the new premium class, a value of $950 million. These new mega transporters are a massive challenge for engineers and shipbuilders. More than 21,000 containers must fit perfectly into the cargo area. Any mistake would not get noticed until loading and could have catastrophic consequences. Duchin Choi surveys the cargo area. He only has this one chance. Once at sea, it will no longer be possible to make improvements.
If the ships get bigger and bigger, it means for me there are a million things more to check and get right. Especially with the container ship. Precision in all measurements is the most important thing during the construction. Our work really seals the fate of the ship.
Duchin Choi uses a special 3D scanner. He will do everything possible to ensure no measurement errors are made. For him, it is a question of honor. All the same, his team checks every loading berth with a test container.
For me personally, I'm incredibly proud to be working on this gigantic, record-breaking vessel, and I want to get it right. It is really one of a kind. We put all the newest innovations in this.
Her 5 sister ships are still being built, but the OOCL Hong Kong is ready for her maiden voyage. She is about 400 meters long. In comparison, the Titanic was only 269 meters. The biggest container ship in the world even outshines the Empire State Building. It can load 21,413 containers and transport more than 191,000 deadweight tons. That corresponds approximately to the weight of 336 A380 airplanes, an inconceivable record. 12 tiers of containers can be stacked below deck, and 12 more on the upper deck. One single man is responsible for the ship, its crew, and its cargo. He must bring one of the biggest marine transporters of all time safely to its destination. If he passes this test, he will be considered one of the best captains in the world. Lam Chung Fat was brave enough to take the job.
This is the biggest one I've been on. The last one that I was on in this company was only 13,000 TUs. And this is like a big jump. So actually this is a very stressful job, although you don't see me running around or anything, but actually there's a lot of things happening behind. The engine must be running properly, the cargo are in good condition, we're on schedule, stuff like that. So it is very stressful, but you have to find time to relax yourself. And one of my favorite things is to come out here to just look around and just feel the breeze on your face and in your hair.
One last deep breath, then the OOCL Hong Kong will set off on her maiden voyage. With him on board is his dear friend, Lim Keng Hock, the chief officer. His job is to make sure the crew functions well from the very beginning, and he must do so on a ship that no one knows.
It's quite hectic because we just left the shipyard, and so we have to bring them up to speed. So we have to keep on training, and there's a lot of work to do.
The first task for the officer and his team, to raise the anchor. On small ships this is no problem, but on the biggest container ship in the world, it is hard work.
Hong Kong forward, how is the cable?
Yeah, stand by.
The anchor's weight and its cable make sure that the ship does not drift or tip over. There is one anchor on each side of the ship's bow.
Okay, Roger.
Roger, forward, chief mate, please bring the anchor home.
Everything on this ship is oversized, bigger, heavier, and thus also more ponderous and slower than on other transport ships. Anchor and cable together measure over 770 meters in total and weigh more than 440 tons. Lim Keng Hock and his team must work safely above all, but also as fast as possible. That is the only way for the OOCL Hong Kong to capture the top position in the shipping business.
Dead slow ahead.
The mega transporter's maiden voyage lasts about 30 days. The first destination, Shanghai, the largest port on Earth. After that comes the first ordeal on the high seas, a voyage to Singapore. There, the OOCL Hong Kong will load its final cargo. Its route then takes it to the Suez Canal. The narrow passage is a risky maneuver and the toughest test for ship and crew. In Rotterdam, the largest port in Europe, the maiden voyage will come to an end. Yangshan, the deep water port of Shanghai and the mega transport's first stop. 13 million containers are loaded here every year. It is not only the biggest, but also the busiest port on Earth. 30 ships can dock and load at the same time. And precisely that will be a problem for the OOCL Hong Kong. Two hours from the port, Captain Lam Chung Fat is tense. No wonder. It is his first berthing maneuver with this gigantic ship. He has requested a local pilot.
The pilot boat is approaching. Get the senior B to rig the starboard side pilot ladder 4 meters above the water.
The pilot must bring his small boat alongside the mega transporter and jump onto a rope ladder at the right moment.
The pilot boat may be moving up and down a lot, and this is quite risky for the pilot. So for the pilot, this is one of the most risky part of his job, actually, to get onto the ship.
Indeed, there have been many fatal accidents during bad weather and rough seas. Pilots have fallen from the ladder, drowned, or been crushed between the ships. Thankfully, the sea is quiet today, and the pilot comes aboard uneventfully.
Hello.
This is the first berth of this vessel, right?
Yes.
Everyone at the port is already pretty excited.
As soon as the pilot is on board, he becomes a member of the crew and has the same rank as the captain. From now on, he gives the orders. With the aid of tugboats, he maneuvers the mega transporter into the port.
Number 2, push slowly.
The OOCL Hong Kong is a gigantic challenge for the pilot as well. Captain Lam Chung Fat must trust him blindly.
Here, I still can understand some Chinese, but in some other ports, I absolutely do not understand.
Number 1, hurry up.
The captain knows the 7 seas. The pilot only this one port. But he knows it inside out. Water depth, sandbanks, and other dangers. But he does not know the OOCL Hong Kong. And the berthing maneuver is difficult. For the berth is between 2 container ships. The parking space is narrow, very, very narrow. In theory, the maneuver is quite simple. 3 tugboats push the mega transporter slowly and carefully towards the quay wall. The greatest danger, if they push too forcefully. The OOCL Hong Kong cannot stop. She would hit the quay wall and, in the worst case, could capsize. Captain Lam Chung Fat can only stand by and watch as the pilot walks the tightrope.
Number 1, stop. Number 2, push slowly. Wind is strong.
Engine stop.
Number 1, stop. 10 meters.
Stop the bow.
Stop bow.
Speed is good. Don't go too fast. Keep going slowly.
Hong Kong off.
The wind is strong.
The stern is coming slowly to the jetty outside. Watch carefully.
Number 2, stop.
The berthing maneuver is complete. Normally reserved, Captain Lam Chong Fat sounds relieved.
This is textbook. Slowly.
Yeah.
It's good.
First course, you must slowly, not very fast. Safety first, huh?
The mega transporter loads more than 4,000 containers here in Shanghai, including highly sensitive cargo like deep frozen goods and hazardous materials. Cranes raise the covers from the cargo cells. Now the OOCL Hong Kong's true size is revealed. At the same time below deck, Chief Officer Lim Keng Hock must make sure the loading goes smoothly. For him, it is less a job than a dream come true.
I've been at sea for 35 years. So ever since I was small, I live on an island in Malaysia. So as a kid, I always see ships, cargo ships. So I always thought one day I might work on one of these ships, and finally I'm here.
His first task, to check the manifest and all available information about every individual container. What is being loaded? Where is it being loaded? And what does that mean for the OOCL Hong Kong? If cargo weight is distributed unevenly, it could cause a catastrophe. The mega transporter's steel frame could bend. With over 21,000 containers and 200,000 tons of cargo weight, Lim cannot commit one calculation error.
We have to make sure that everything is loaded as per the plan. Different colors are the port of discharge. We are going to Gdansk, Felixstowe, Rotterdam, and also Germany. The workflow is quite large, I would say, and it's challenging, so you need you need to be very focused. Hong Kong third mate, chief mate calling.
Yes, should just go ahead.
Yes, the cargo plan is ready, you can come to the office. Over.
Lim Keng Hock must not only make sure that the containers are put in the right place, but also that they are loaded in the correct order. If the crane operators make mistakes here, one side could become too heavy, and in the worst case, the ship could capsize. To keep this from happening, the OOCL Hong Kong has gigantic water tanks. When empty, she can take on up to 65,000 tons of seawater. At port, this ballast can be pumped between the individual tanks to maintain balance. As more cargo is loaded, the OOCL Hong Kong pumps the water back into the sea.
If it's within limits, then we are fine. But the optimum objective is to have minimum ballast, so that we just carry cargo and have optimum trim, so that we can move at a very good speed. Yes, third mate. Everything fine?
Yes, everything is fine.
How many cranes working?
7 cranes working, Chief.
Okay, this is the loading plan for this port. All the reefers, we have 14 reefers.
Okay, loading 14 reefers.
Yeah, this is according to the manifest, so check ventilation.
Okay.
And DGs we have quite a lot, 66.
63.
So ensure all labels are okay.
Okay, label and the position according to the daycam.
Yeah. So just check the moorings and everything is okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any problem, give me a call.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Sneakers, laptops and televisions, but also DG, dangerous cargo like chemicals. All this and much more is now on its way to Europe. In only 30 days, the mega transport is scheduled to arrive there. The next leg of the voyage, 4 days on the high seas. On their way to Singapore, crew and ship will encounter many dangers. The cargo must get to Europe as quickly as possible. The mega transport will only be profitable if the OOCL Hong Kong sticks to its schedule. But this ship is about more than profitability and money, more than engineering and technology. This ship arouses emotions, at least in Chief Officer Lim Keng Hock.
When you look at the ship from a distance, you will be quite amazed at how big the vessel is. But when you're on board, you get used to it. I have this affinity to shipping. And so even up to now, I still find it's, even though it's challenging, but I find it's a rewarding career. So at the end of the day, when you sign off, you're quite a happy man.
In contrast to many other container ships, the OOCL Hong Kong can load an additional upper tier of containers. But it only works with exceptionally complex securing mechanisms.
This piece over here is a semi-auto twist lock. So it's used to secure the deck containers together. We can stack 12 tiers on deck. So 4 pieces of this are fitted on the 4 ends of the container. And it's heavy, and we have 24,000 on board. So you can imagine the number of containers we can load on deck. So this is loaded automatically, and when during discharge, we have to manually open them so they can be discharged. And this one over here are turnbuckles.
These struts secure the containers to the lashing bridges and to one another. Every day, the crew checks whether they are tight enough. A storm or high waves could cause them to waver or even rip them off the ship. The securing equipment and related technology costs over $1 million US.
So as you can see, the crew now, they are checking and making sure that everything is at the right position, and all containers that have been loaded is lashed down properly.
One part of the cargo requires special attention.
Reefer engineer, chief officer calling.
Yes, Jimmy.
Now we go to check reefer.
Okay, Roger.
Twice a day, electricians check the reefers. They always go in pairs, as no job may be done alone. The danger is too great that a crew member might fall or go overboard. In the worst case, it would take hours before such an accident were noticed. These reefers transport valuable food. They function like a refrigerator. They are fully insulated and have their own cooling unit, which is connected to the ship's power supply. The electricians must check every individual container and its temperature.
Reefer engineer, come in. Reefer engineer, chief officer calling.
Yes, Jimmy.
Yes, how's the condition of all the loaded reefers?
Now all reefer is okay.
Fully loaded, the mega transporter consumes nearly 9 tons of heavy fuel oil per hour. Fuel is thus by far the largest cost factor of this kind of intercontinental transport. Ultimately, such a transport must be profitable for the shipping company. Thus, the captain uses every possible trick to travel as economically as possible. Weather, wind, and more.
The idea is efficiency. Maybe not necessarily the shortest route, but actually we also take advantage of currents to help us get better speed. And of course, the whole target is to conserve fuel and, of course, then cost.
At the same time, in the engine room, the engine block is 9 stories high and has over 100,000 horsepower. This is one of the biggest and most powerful diesel engines in the world. Li Wai-chi is chief engineer on board and must keep this tremendous power generator under control. But he too is getting to know the OOCL Hong Kong for the first time. To understand how the ship reacts, he and his team collect all the data, recording every revolution and temperature. Anything that could be of use in an emergency.
Main engine is a new type and it's a good engine. So far so good. But of course we still have some minor problem. That's why service engineer, they try to collect data and then try to improve.
He shares his data with the engine builder, who is always improving his products. The goal, to reduce fuel consumption and emissions.
Like the ship is big or small, I still try my best to work. I'm happy because I'm also a green man.
The night before the OOCL Hong Kong reaches Singapore, a critical night. A pirate area stands between the crew and safe harbor.
We take precautions as per the industry standard, so it is risky.
The crew goes through the emergency plan for such situations. Usually, there are no weapons on board. The men could only shoot at attackers with water cannons or lock themselves in.
Remember, if anything wrong, just press the alarm and then come. And then also, don't leave any door. Oh, I just go. Maybe 5 minutes, I come back. No, not alarm. You must lock.
Everyone senses what no one says out loud. The biggest container ship in the world on its maiden voyage is an attractive target for pirates. The ransom for the captain is enticing. With a ship this size, it is actually unimaginable. But pirates could indeed come on board with grappling hooks and take the crew hostage. 5 hours in the danger zone. Nothing to see. Only pitch black night.
We need to keep the light condition as low as possible in order for us to get the best visibility outside. So bright lights is out, so usually we get red lights, which is actually good for the eyes in terms of night vision at night.
Suddenly, the second mate sees something on the horizon. A boat with no identifying marks. Not one, but rather a whole fleet. And it is on course for the OOCL Hong Kong.
Port side, maybe a border.
Captain Lam Chung Fat sends a warning signal.
Captain Sandra is ready now.
Yeah, you can flash at him.
Okay, flash.
Give warning.
Okay.
Hopefully, it is fishermen and not pirates. If so, they would react to the signal and get out of the mega transporter's way.
Because he's flashing the light.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Indeed, only a couple of fishing boats that had strayed off course.
230. 230. Unfortunately, at sea, we have rules of the roads, but smaller boats and they don't really follow these rules. So when we see something that it's quite close to us, we cannot wait until they take action.
The danger zone has been crossed, and the OOCL Hong Kong has reached the port of Singapore unscathed. It's the last port before the 2-week non-stop journey to Europe. Time for the mega transporter to refuel. Heavy oil for about 1 million euros, and more containers are loaded on board.
Roger, forward, 10 meters ahead.
The special challenge. Some containers from China have reached their destination here in Singapore. Others are only beginning their journey to Europe. That means loading and unloading at the same time. Mega transporters like the OOCL Hong Kong need ports that can keep pace with them. Ports that can load more and more containers faster and faster. That's why Singapore has invested in a smart port. From this command center, the containers can be moved by joystick. Many cranes are remote controlled. Operators choose the crane they need at the moment. That means no people, no pathways, no danger of injury. Camera and sensor technology makes loading precise and quick. The OOCL Hong Kong is now fully loaded and on its way to Europe. Someone has sounded the alarm. It was the chief officer. Lim Keng Hock wants to know how his new team works under pressure.
Emergency squad to command squad.
Emergency squad, this is command squad, go ahead.
May I know the nature of emergency, over.
Roger, there is fire at bay 30 and row 08 near the high piers, over.
Roger, fire at bay 30. Okay. Portable monitor. Go. The two guys help them.
Within seconds, the team must be ready for action. For in an emergency, a fire could reach hazmat containers holding acid, gases, and fuel. This drill has only one goal. The crew must be able to get around the new ship blindfolded, above all, in an extreme situation. They must know the shortest pathways and overcome their fear of heights in an emergency. To extinguish a fire, the team must climb to a height of nearly 20 meters, unsecured at full speed and in heavy wind.
What we fear most is a fire on one of the containers on deck, as it can spread very fast. So as you can see, we can carry up to 12 tiers on deck.
The biggest challenge, pulling the heavy water hoses up to the vertiginous heights.
Behind the turnbuckle. Who behind the turnbuckle?
Up top, the team mounts the water cannons.
Hydrant Bay 31, stand by.
The OOCL Hong Kong can pump seawater up to a height of 36 meters. The crew doesn't know what exactly is in the containers, a real problem.
I heard of fires which lasted for 3 days, so it's quite tiring to fight this kind of fires. So you need proper equipment and you need a good team of people.
Below the containers, Chief Engineer Li Wai-chi prepares for the emergency.
For seamen, most frightened is fire. Once fire, no one can help.
If the cargo below deck catches fire, the team cannot extinguish it with water. Li Wai-chi would have to evacuate all the rooms and flood them with the contents of about 800 CO2 canisters, thus smothering the fire. By doing so, he would also paralyze the entire ship.
That's the last resort. Once we put this in, then maybe 24 hours, the ship is cannot move because no oxygen, combustion engine, no oxygen cannot move. So before we release this, captain usually put the ship in a relative safe place and then we release. Because for 24 hours, maybe we don't have any power.
Back on deck.
Hydrant 31, open! Monitor Bay 29, shoot to the center! Shoot to the center! Monitor Bay 29, are you ready?
Hose ready.
All station, all station. The drill is over, fire extinguished. All stations, stand down, over.
After this successful drill, the mega transporter resumes its course. 2 routes lead to Europe, the long way around Africa and the short passage through the Suez Canal. This route saves a lot of time and fuel, but the journey through the extremely narrow canal is risky, especially for the biggest container ship in the world. For about 150 years, the Suez Canal has been amongst the most important waterways on Earth. But cargo ships continue to get longer and wider and have a deeper draft. That means the canal must get bigger too. Above all, its depth is crucial. A new additional canal section has been opened since 2015. Nevertheless, the passage is still one of the most difficult maneuvers in seafaring. But whoever wants to remain competitive in the shipping business must confront the canal. That includes the OOCL Hong Kong. No ocean giant is allowed here without an escort. The Suez Canal Authority pilots every single cargo ship through the narrow passage. An extreme responsibility rests on the shoulders of the pilots and their commander, Captain Mohammed Fawzi Abdelkader. Through the eye of the needle, for 193 kilometers, Captain Fawzi monitors the ship's passage through 15 checkpoints.
How many vessels are expected today?
45 vessels, 20 entering from the south in Suez and 25 vessels from Port Said, with a total tonnage of 2,527,000 tons.
Shipping companies pay high fees for their ship's passage, varying according to their weight. The OOCL Hong Kong's passage costs around $1 million.
The Suez Canal is the backbone of the Egyptian economy. and we are trying everything we can to attract the largest number of vessels to pass through the channel.
An accident would be a catastrophe, not only for the OOCL Hong Kong's maiden voyage, but also for the canal and thus for Egypt's economy. The passage simply has to be successful.
The process of navigating through the Suez Canal is a really sensitive and difficult process. It's really hard and requires a lot of experience to guide the ships through, especially container ships. A big challenge for the pilots is climatic factors such as sandstorms. They hinder the vision of the pilots so they can no longer see the sides of the canal.
A look below the water surface shows that the canal is deep enough for mega transporters like the OOCL Hong Kong, but only in the middle. The pilot has only a few meters of wiggle room to the left and to the right. The moment has come. The greatest ordeal of the mega transporter's maiden voyage is imminent, and Captain Lam Chung Fat can do nothing. His hands are tied.
When we are inside the canal, this is actually one of the concerns because the canal is narrow and shallow, and there's very, very little margin for error. They have hopefully very good pilots there.
In point of fact, the Suez Canal's 300 pilots are among the best in the world. Before being allowed to operate a mega freighter, a pilot must have trained for 15 years. Pilots train their wits and agility using a simulator, which portrays ships of every size and all conceivable weather conditions and scenarios.
Course now. For 033. 040. 040.
Starboard 20.
Starboard 20. طبعا بيبقى في دماغي وانا طالع
I need to think about 100,000 things at the same time. Wind, current, engine, rudder, everything. I need to feel the whole atmosphere and become one with the ship.
لازم ابقى حاسسها قبل ما اطلع المركب.
In a real situation, there is no second try. While the others train, Chief Pilot Farouk Fouda makes his way to the OOCL Hong Kong to guide it through the canal. He grew up in Germany.
The captain needs perhaps 4 or 5 months on a ship to know how it reacts, how it moves. I have to know in 1 minute, right away. If I don't go to starboard, what happens? Port, how much rudder do I need? How much power?
He has seen how the canal and the ships that pass through it have grown. Farouk Fouda suppresses all nervousness. His more than 40 years of professional experience help him keep cool in view of the mega freighter and the task before him.
There is no tension, no. You can't be tense. Otherwise, you have no control over the ship. You always have to have strong nerves.
He'll need them now on the OOCL Hong Kong. OOCL stands for Orient Overseas Container Line. Founded in Hong Kong in 1947, today this shipping company is one of the biggest in the world. The ship's name is thus no coincidence. The company intends to write history with it. Farouk Fouda comes on board just in time. He literally has everything in hand. Will he manage to write a new chapter in the history of the trade route between East Asia and Europe? From this point forward, he is in command. The passage lasts about 11 hours. On average, 49 ships traverse the canal every day, grouped into convoys. The pilots have to coordinate speed and the distance between ships perfectly. Otherwise, there could be fatal collisions. The OOCL Hong Kong is the biggest ship that has ever tried to pass through the canal. The outcome of one of the biggest sea transports of all time will be decided here, in the Suez Canal. Captain Lam Chung Fat can only stand by and watch.
This ship is much bigger than the other ships, so usually in my heart I silently pray.
Everyone in the control room is holding their breath too. Finally, the biggest container ship in the world leaves the narrow canal. The Mediterranean is in sight. Chief pilot Farouk Fouda has once again demonstrated that experience is golden. At over 70 years old, he has set a new record and brought the biggest container ship in the world through the canal.
I've done a good job if the ship arrives safely and uneventfully. It feels good, makes me happy.
The OOCL Hong Kong sets course for Rotterdam. It passes through the Mediterranean and the Straits of Gibraltar. 21,000 kilometers, halfway around the world. She reaches her destination almost perfectly on schedule. Hundreds of spectators show up to watch the majestic finale of her successful maiden voyage. They want to witness a true mega transport. It is perhaps one of those proverbial moments one can tell one's grandchildren about.
How can it even move with so many containers on deck? How does it stay afloat? And when I heard that it will come to the port of Rotterdam, I just had to come to see it with my own eyes.
This maiden voyage demanded everything of the crew. Proud but visibly exhausted, Chief Officer Lim Keng Hock gives the signal to berth. About 200,000 tons of consumer goods from Asia have reached their destination in Europe. Captain Lam Chung Fat has been at sea since 1983. This maiden voyage was the greatest challenge of his career. He has met the challenge.
I think we did a good job, you know. I mean, this is a big ship. We carry many containers. We have to also thank the team that we have on the ship as well, yeah. I couldn't think of anything else I'll be doing, I mean, for the past 30-odd years, yeah. It's a good job, yeah. I'm pretty proud about it, yeah.
Captain Lam Chung Fat will command the OOCL Hong Kong for another 6 months, along with his friend, the Chief Officer. The OOCL Hong Kong sister ships will also be in regular service between Europe and East Asia, the most important trade route in the world, in the past, present, and future.
The port at Antwerp in Belgium, one of Europe's most important transfer sites for new vehicles. and the starting point for the mega transport of a Norwegian giant. The Trapper, world's largest automobile transporter, a ship that takes global vehicle logistics to a whole new level. 200 meters long, 36 meters wide. But the major attraction is actually behind the steel hull. A gigantic cargo area, in total over 71,000 square meters. Enough room for 8,500 cars. An extraordinary number, but still not the biggest challenge for all those involved. They are embarking on a journey covering 28,000 kilometers, from Antwerp navigating around Germany, England, France, and Spain, and then out onto the expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. From there, across the pond to ports in the US and Jamaica, through the Panama Canal onto the Pacific, and all the way to New Zealand and Australia, all that in just 50 days. The planning for this mammoth task is all his responsibility. Port Captain Per Henningsen. For this usually unflappable Norwegian, it's a permanent race against the clock. Here in Antwerp, he needs to board 1,000 cars. But the head planner has just 16 hours for a secure loading process.
All the time you have a challenge to try to get, because you have, on a regular vessel, you will have 3, 4, 5 hatches, which you can eventually plan in. Here, everything has to come through the same door.
But before anything is put on the ship, the massive cargo has to be cleared from the parking lot. A job for 20 on-site port workers known as stevedores. They're the ones that will pick up each and every one of the 1,000 cars. First, there's a check-in using a scanning system. Each scanned automobile is registered and then ready for the mega transport. Only then will it be allowed on board to become one more car on what is the largest floating parking lot in the world. Each vehicle is assigned a specific parking spot, but to do that is anything but simple. The Trapper has 14 cargo decks, which are configured into loading zones by the port captain. Each zone represents a port, at which the ship will load and unload vehicles. The concept is, the farther the destination port, the farther back the loading zone. Sounds logical enough. However, there is one small problem. Per has to maximize the use of the area, while at the same time making sure the loading zones are freely accessible. Otherwise, with last-minute changes of plan, there's a risk of the worst-case scenario, which would involve reparking hundreds of cars in a confined space against the clock. They refer to it as shifting. It's extremely time-consuming, and time is the last thing Per has to spare. Only 16 hours for 1,000 cars. With less than 1 minute allowed per car, completing his task without making any mistake is virtually impossible.
Myself, I loaded hundreds of vessels, but I think I can only count of 2 hands, the ones which have been 100% full without any shifting.
The most common problems? Last-minute new orders that suddenly increase the number of vehicles, or mistakes in the initial numbers. The result is that there is not enough room in the loading zones. The person responsible for making sure the cars get to their assigned spots is foreman Dimitri Gomerin. He checks the cars in for Port Kembla in Australia and Auckland in New Zealand. What's extremely important here is non-stop contact with his head planner.
Yep, that is very good. Finish as indicated here. Leave this open.
Yes, the Auckland. Leave the Auckland.
Yeah. Forget about that, then you are finished.
Yeah. And then the Auckland over here. Yes, and make the complete flow stop.
Yes.
Most of the cars are brand new from the factory. Dimitri's job? a permanent balancing act between speed and precision.
Just a little bit more. Enough.
The time pressure is immense, but the space in the zones is limited. Despite this, potential dents are not Dimitri's biggest worry.
What the worst thing is can happen, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets in between, with the lashing crew is over here and we don't check each other out.
Throughout the parking process, the lashing crew secures every car with special straps. They attach the straps to lashing hooks or car rims at the front and back of the car and to holes in the deck. This is designed to keep the valuable freight from rocking during the ocean passage, and in the worst case, coming loose to create a floating motorway pileup. More than half the allotted time has now passed, and the first two decks are filling up. But a bit too much, according to the plan from Port Captain Höegh.
Okay. We loaded for Port Kembla 112 already.
That's today or including what they did yesterday?
I don't know. Did they load yesterday as well, the Port Kembla?
Yeah.
The problem, a last-minute order for a delivery to Port Kembla, Australia. But the loading zone for that is already full. And the cargo for Auckland, New Zealand is ready to be parked. Port Captain Höegh has to improvise while keeping one eye on the clock.
Maybe you can just leave it open for the time being. You finish Port Kembla.
Yes, like always, yes.
And then you go down.
And then I fill up with the Auckland, or
fill up that with Auckland.
Yes.
And then eventually, when you need, you go upstairs.
Oh, for the balance.
Yes.
You want the balance over here. Yes. Okay, no problem.
The Trapper has an enormous total load capacity of 21,000 tons. Höegh has to keep the weight of the cargo evenly distributed at all times, so that the ship does not tip. It's a mega challenge, especially when it comes to last-minute changes. Höegh redistributes the cars on the spot. The new ones for Port Kembla are going to fill up the zone for Auckland. He spreads the spaces that were lost across 3 other decks. High-pressure work for Foreman Dimitri and his team of stevedores. 150 cars suddenly need a new parking place. Time to go before the planned departure? Just 3 hours. But things look good.
Okay.
1,000 cars are in their proper positions, even 1 hour ahead of schedule. Station 1 of the Mega Transport finished, but there's still 2 months and a whole lot of work to do until they reach their final destination. Until now, only the uppermost 2 decks of the gigantic transporter have been loaded. Some decks remain sparsely occupied, while others are completely empty and waiting for their cargoes at upcoming ports. Next stop, Bremerhaven. Port Captain Höegh is already starting to prepare for the loading process there, because in Bremerhaven, he expects more than simple cars.
This cargo is shifted from deck number 8 to be able to load trucks.
The largest vehicle transporter in the world doesn't just carry automobiles. It also hauls all sorts of high and heavy cargo. This is only possible due to the Trapper's special flexible decks, whose height can be adjusted in order to accommodate some pretty monstrous machinery. The next morning, the crew prepares for departure on the bridge. Just one last technical step remains, raising the huge ramp.
Is everybody ready? Let's go.
Starting time for the Mega Transport's trip around the globe. The Trapper has to make it to Australia and New Zealand in just 49 days. Along for the ride, thousands of cars. But the biggest cargo of them all has yet to be loaded. The ship travels through the inland waters of Belgium in the direction of the North Sea. Then, 500 kilometers along the coast of Holland and Germany to Bremerhaven. Day 3 of the Mega Transport, and halftime for the first crossing. For the crew, everything is running calmly and comfortably. But one man has been racking his brain for hours. Head planner Per has to distribute every car and every high and heavy unit properly across the cargo space.
What is the main thing with this is to keep everything open so that you are not stuck.
The problem? He still doesn't know exactly what to expect, and one order in particular has him worrying more than usual.
We are eventually going to load some interesting things, which is said to be a trailer, said to be 7.5 meter wide, too high to pass, so they have to go on high space. I'm actually anxious to what it is.
Per doesn't have any information about the height of this mysterious object, but he will plan, prepare, persist, and succeed like he always does. Day 4, arrival in Bremerhaven, the biggest parking lot in the world. Over an area of 240 hectares, there's room for 95,000 cars. Bremerhaven is considered the most important trade hub for automobiles in Europe. The port handles 2.2 million vehicles every year. 2,000 of those are now going on a journey around the world. For our Mega Transport, that's child's play, because the other things waiting here include tractors, giant construction machines, and trucks. In short, this cargo is hard to work, high and heavy, a triple whammy for Per. And yet, there's again just 16 hours to complete the job. The fact that any oversized colossus can even think about taking a ride on the Trapper is based on two factors. First, the 12-meter wide and 6.5-meter high loading hatch. Second, the ramp. Load-bearing capacity 375 tons, the weight of 75 full-grown elephants. The additionally heightened high and heavy area is just behind the gate. Even the largest machinery can pass through unscathed. What's more, 5 of the 14 decks are movable and can be adjusted in height. Not to mention their respective ramps. The result? A total of 18,195 square meters of space for high and heavy cargo. And that's exactly what's happening on Deck 8. Whenever there are technical adjustments to be made to the cargo area, everything responds to his command. Chief Officer Wang Chongwen. His job, to make sure that several large trucks can fit in here.
Because the height of this deck right now is 2.3 meters. That's not enough. We need 4.2 meters to load the high and heavy cargo here.
In just a few minutes, the cargo height practically doubles, and all that without any complicated technology. Wang and his crew push up each of the deck panels using a simple hoist.
Is everything all right up there?
Everything's okay.
Last step. The panel has to engage into the safety supports. Time needed to work on each panel? Less than 5 minutes. After just 1 hour, the entire deck is almost twice as high as it was before.
This is a very great function for us. It allows us to transport way more cargo according to different cargo types.
In this case, to accommodate commercial trucks. The concept is that, as in Antwerp, stevedores drive each of the 100 trucks to its planned space. Fasten down and done. After about 8 hours, the last square meter of the deck is full. At the same time, the other decks from above are filling up with cars. Extra high decks 5 and 3 are still basically empty, but all that's about to change. Time for the really massive freight, like this 21-ton screening machine. Mobile high and heavy units have to go to Deck 3, one ramp below. It's a process that can cause serious problems when dealing with such a colossus. It's down. For the workers, it's a catastrophe. There isn't just the fear that the valuable cargo could be damaged. The huge agricultural machine is now blocking the only access to the deck. This will test Per and his team to their limits. Keeping to the tight schedule? Seriously endangered at this point. For Marshal O'Brien Forster and his co-workers, every second counts.
The back end is sitting a little bit too low. This makes it hard for us to push it over. Of course we try our best, but if it won't work, it might need to be shifted on an upper deck.
But it's already full on top. Brian could move the other high and heavy units to make room for the giant, but that's going to take too much time. The alternative plan? Use rubber mats to remove the machine from the ramp without damaging it. But the first attempt ends in failure. The center of gravity at the rear end is too low. Brian needs to think fast, because the next giant is already waiting. Meanwhile, main deck 5 is slowly filling up, but there's a problem brewing here as well. Our head planter Per is still calmly waiting for his mysterious cargo. Supposedly a 7.5 meter wide unit on a long trailer. But that's all he knows about it. And that's not the only thing testing his nerve.
Most of the time the problem is the height. That actually the measurement is not correct.
The result of having the wrong dimensions? Seriously sobering. The high and heavy area is completely full up, and the adjustable panels of the cargo deck above already raised to the absolute maximum. Per has just 2 hours left until the Trapper's planned departure from Bremerhaven. But right now, all he can do is wait. A long, unnerving wait. But then...
It is big.
Talk about big. The cargo, the bucket of an enormous dump truck. Per's initial irritation has now developed into real worry. Will this monster even fit on the ship? Meanwhile, on Deck 3. The huge screener is still blocking the only way down. Marshal O'Brien and his team have to get the 20-ton Colossus off the ramp as quickly as possible. They use wooden slats to prop up the machine. This should keep the low rear end from scraping across the floor.
So, I hope it works now. Looks good.
Sure enough, the machine slowly starts to move. Perhaps not the most elegant solution, but effective. The high and heavy unit arrives in the cargo area undamaged, to the great relief of Marshal O'Brien.
Well, we're satisfied that it worked, right?
Now the path is clear for the really big cargo. Despite the continuing occurrence of minor adversities, hundreds of tons of the high and heavy cargo loads make their way to the deck on schedule. Construction machines, cranes, excavators, the big, bad, and heavy are all in attendance. A good hour before quitting time, there are 199 of the big boys on board. Just one is still missing. The oversized dump truck bucket throws everyone into a major concern. It's totally unclear as to whether the unit will even fit on the deck at all, especially given its height. Raising the cargo area is highly problematic because, at the moment, the decks above it are all full.
The worst case scenario, you would have to discharge maybe 200-300 cars to be able to lift the pedal.
It would be a monumental effort, which is no longer achievable, at least not in the time they have left, which is about an hour before the Mega Transport's scheduled departure. Mission accomplished. The height is not a problem. Even the length and width fit exactly into position. Head planner pair breathes a sigh of relief.
Finally. This is good. This is what you've been waiting for the whole day, so it's really nice. You know that it will fit, and I have loaded so many of these things, but still it is the heart is running.
And that, even after 30 years of experience on the job. In just one day, Per and his stevedores have loaded 2,000 new vehicles, plus 200 high and heavy units. But the longest and heaviest part of the Mega Transport is yet to come. Loading and unloading continues at the next stops in Europe: England, France, and Spain. The ship then travels all the way across the Atlantic and to the east coast of the United States, via Jamaica, and to the Caribbean Sea. A real tight spot awaits the Mega Transport there: the Panama Canal. Day 28 of the autoliner's journey from Europe to New Zealand. The Trapper is expected to reach Panama by morning. The full responsibility for the Mega Transport lies with Captain Höegh Trapper. More than anything, he has to keep one thing in mind: the weather.
Show me the weather forecast. What's our situation? It looks like, oh no, there's a lot of yellow and red.
Reports are calling for heavy storms directly at the Panama coast. It's a serious danger for the Mega Transport.
If we encounter bad weather, the ship will start rolling and pitching too much. This means first that we cannot speed up and lose time, But also second, we are afraid of our cargo that could start moving.
And, in the worst case, major damage. Avoiding it is all in the hands of First Officer Höegh Trapper. No pressure.
Make sure that every car is lashed down properly. Otherwise, fasten them. But be careful. Those are new cars. No scratches, all right?
The cargo below is worth several hundred million euros, which is why checking that it is secure has top priority, especially since storms have been forecast. Checking the cargo regularly has another reason. During the course of the journey, vibrations in the ship cause the lashings to loosen.
Sometimes the lashings aren't fastened down properly. Sometimes the angle isn't right, and some cars are even missing a lashing.
Lashings need to be anchored at a 45-degree angle. If they're too loose, the cars could shift. And because they're parked so close together, they would then crash into each other. For this job, one thing is more important than anything else for Höegh and his crew: a very keen eye.
Cadet, do that again. This is still not the right angle. Fasten it properly.
Perfect lashing tension is an absolute necessity. If any damage occurs to the cargo, it's the Trapper crew that will bear the responsibility. Even in normal conditions, the crew has to check and, if required, tighten the lashings every 3 days. No exceptions accepted.
We need to check every single car.
To prepare for the looming storm, the guys add chocks to make sure the cars don't move. It's an extra security measure that for 8,500 cars takes several hours to complete. And yet, it's absolutely necessary for getting the cargo safely to its destination undamaged. Finally, the First Officer Höegh makes a last check. Time to call it a day. As the ship continues to approach the storm, there's nothing left for the crew to do but wait. They're a tight group, and no wonder. Many of them spend up to 4 months at a time together on the high seas.
Where's my card?
I don't have it.
Oh, crap.
Most of the crew members see each other more than they see their own families. It's a tough break and a major challenge. Each of them plays their part in making sure a mega transport of this magnitude is pulled off trouble-free. But trouble-free isn't how you describe the bridge at the moment. The storm brewing is a major source of worry for Captain Höegh. The Trapper must pass through the Panama Canal tomorrow. Otherwise, it could take days until they receive a new transit approval. A storm on the open seas would be a problem, but in the unforgiving confines of the canal locks, it could be a catastrophe.
If the wind blows from starboard, from port side, or any other way, the vessel could deviate from the course. But in the lock, there is no room for deviating, which means the vessel could collide with the lock's wall.
The transit slots for the Panama Canal are scheduled precisely. Any deviation would cause a major backup and is therefore not tolerated.
You're nervous. Really, you're nervous. But you always have to keep calm.
The Trapper's scheduled transit, 4 in the morning, in complete darkness. But even in the best conditions, the trip will be a challenge. The Panama Canal joins the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. First, there's a 3-level lock system that lifts the ship 27 meters to the man-made Gatun Lake. From there, it's 82 kilometers through the narrow canal. Another lock awaits them at the end, which will take the Trapper onto the expanse of the Pacific Ocean. For a mega transport like ours, such an excursion was impossible until very recently. The canal is over 100 years old and was designed for the largest ships at that time. Maximum width, 32.3 meters. For behemoths like the Trapper, that's not enough. Canal authorities began construction on newer, larger lock systems in 2007. Since its opening in 2016, ships belonging to the so-called Neo-Panamax class can now transit the canal, and that includes the Trapper. But even though the new lock chambers are 55 meters wide, for the Trapper, this means not even 10 meters clearance on either side. And in the dark, no less. On day 29 of the mega transport, the Trapper is at the Atlantic side entrance to the canal on time, at 4 o'clock in the morning, Agua Clara. To manage the lock chambers, the crew now has local support. Harbor pilot Robert L. Schnack and his team are specialized in guiding oversized transport vessels safely through the locks. And it works like this. The man-made Panama Canal is 27 meters above sea level. To get the mega transport up this high, it uses 3 lock chambers, like steps. When the ship gets to the first chamber, the chamber is pumped full of water to raise the Trapper up by 9 meters. The process is repeated for a second and third time, each raising the ship by 9 meters. The difficulty? The captain and pilot need to position the ship perfectly in the middle of the lock chamber. Because during the pumping process, the engine must be stopped, which means there's no chance to make corrections. Here we go. Chamber 1 of 3. The challenge is maneuvering the vessel straight through. In order to steer the course on the high seas, the Trapper uses an automatic steering system. But while going through the locks, the ship has to be maneuvered manually, as required by law. For the entire duration of the canal transit, the pilot gives the orders to the captain. But Captain Su still has the last word.
Starboard 10, please.
Starboard 10.
Got starboard 20.
Starboard 20.
Each command decides whether the ship will keep its course or crash into the wall.
We have to hold the ship steady like this without any deviation.
Not deviation too much.
Stop engine.
Stop engine.
At least we are lucky there is no wind.
The predicted bad weather has not arrived. After 30 minutes, the Trapper is in the first lock chamber, but there is still a palpable tension on the bridge.
Mr. Pilot, if we can pick up the slack on the steering, not yet now.
Let's wait until the starboard side is ready and then
And we'll synchronize to heavy in. Thank you.
Now, the engine is stopped, and Captain Su's hands are tied. Dock workers secure the ship with ropes so that it doesn't move during the pumping process. And then, off we go. Within 8 minutes, the Trapper is raised 9 meters. Now the path is clear to chamber number 2. Until now, everything seems to have run smoothly. But just before the next stop, the ship comes dangerously close to the lock wall. Now every command has to be perfect. No mistakes, no excuses.
Half to starboard. No. Starboard 20. Midship.
Fortunately, that slip of the tongue, quickly corrected, went unpunished. Not all do. The chamber fills with water from the Gatun Lake, raising the Trapper to 18 meters. "30 to 40 ships pass through the locks every day. This requires the services of almost 300 pilots. They get additional support from 36 tugboats, which help the ships to keep the tight course. It's a major effort, and therefore a major expense. The cost of a single passage for a mega transport like ours? Up to 400,000 euros. Now, just the third and last lock chamber to go. Once again, for the captain and pilot, this takes razor-sharp concentration.
Stop engines.
Stop engine.
Bow full to port.
Bow full to port.
While the lock system pumps the Trapper up one last time, the pilot and captain have the time to focus on one final and most important task: guiding the 200-meter-long mega transport out of the narrow lock system and into the canal unscathed. The Trapper is now 27 meters above sea level, the level of the Panama Canal. To safely reach it, Captain Höegh needs to bring the Trapper out of the lock in as straight a line as possible. To do this, he uses the yellow line as a guide. So that the rear does not swing out, the ship must always move parallel to the line. On command from captain and pilot, the tugboats pull the monster through. But halfway out, what happens is this.
Do you see the ship is now very close to this critical point? Now we have to bow half starboard.
Port 20.
Less than 2 meters separate the Trapper from the solid stone wall.
You see?
No,
easy to indicate.
Midship. Okay, midship.
Third officer, is the back out of the lock?
It has just gone out.
Starboard 10.
I repeat, it has just gone out.
Great. So we are safe at the back corner? Are we safe?
Exactly, we're safe.
Okay. Midship. Bow half to starboard. Midship. That's starboard. Mr. Pilot, ship is staying clear of this corner.
Okay, good. Thank you.
They did it. After 3 nerve-wracking hours, the ship and its cargo remain undamaged and can continue their journey through the Panama Canal.
Captain, now
Okay.
we're gonna let go the tugs.
Let go the tug phone off.
We're
Okay.
clear from the lock, so
Okay.
we're free.
Totally clear from lock. Yeah.
The pilot disembarks. Captain Höegh once again takes full control of his ship.
I'm feeling very happy.
And
Excited.
also,
Yeah, absolutely. Today, we can pass the new Panama Canal because I had a very good cooperation with the pilots.
For the Mega Transport and its extremely valuable cargo, it is now time to traverse 82 kilometers on one of the world's most iconic and important waterways. The transit takes all of 9 hours. Traveling through the Panama Canal saves the ship an impressive 3 weeks of travel time, which you would otherwise need to get from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. No wonder that annually, in excess of 15,000 commercial ships travel through it. Since the expansion, the annual cargo loads have doubled to 600 million tons. That's 6% of all maritime freight traffic in the world, which includes our Mega Transport. And even after 20 years of professional experience, it's still a special event for Captain Höegh.
I am very proud to be captain on this vessel, and I'm excited to experience the Panama Canal.
The Trapper is scheduled to reach Australia and New Zealand in 3 weeks. But to continue the journey, the ship still has to reach the level of the Pacific Ocean. At the end of the canal, Höegh and his crew face another 3-chamber lock system, the Kakoli locks. The task, lower the ship by 27 meters. Instead of stepping up, now we step down. Based on the experience from this morning, it should be no problem. And after an extremely eventful day, the Trapper is one step closer to its goal. Now, it's plain sailing non-stop across the mighty Pacific, all the way to Auckland. The trip will last for a total of 21 more days, until the Trapper finally reaches New Zealand. 49 days have passed since the autoliner started in Antwerp. The Mega Transport is set to reach the other side of the world tomorrow. But there is still one final inspection. And no, it doesn't involve technical issues.
If we have any insects on board, this is against the law, especially in countries like Australia and New Zealand.
In the worst case, the authorities could prohibit the crew from opening the gates and keep them from delivering thousands of cars.
Okay, Chef, we're going to check the kitchen now.
It's no joke. A crew looking for needles in the haystack. Top priority, for certain.
Chef, you've got cooking oil here. I can feel it on my fingers. Brush that away. Chef, come here. The floor is dirty. You should wipe down here, okay?
Okay.
New Zealand has some of the strictest quarantine regulations in the world, especially when it comes to food. We're literally talking about every grain of rice here.
Chef, where's the rice?
Over here.
Where did you load it?
In Bremerhaven.
Okay, then it's still good. Keep going.
Despite some criticism about the cook's cleanliness, the official food inspectors are satisfied in the end.
Good job. Well done.
Good job. Okay, next.
Now everything is ready for the Mega Transport's final chapter. Day 50. Despite a monumental stretch of over 28,000 kilometers, the world's biggest autoliner is on time at its first port of call on the other side of the world, Auckland, New Zealand. thousands of new cars and hundreds of the high and heavies will find their ways to new owners. A mega transport around the globe. All possible thanks to a bunch of little gears interlocking perfectly. Stevedores who bring each vehicle on board and then offload them with incomparable dedication.
Just like I was young, I was playing with the cars, with the toys. Now it's the same, but it's a little bit bigger.
Dock workers who solve every problem, even when it's tricky, and our unflappable port captain, without whose meticulous planning, everything would collapse like a house of cards.
It's like Christmas every time it happens. It's really, really satisfying, because you have worked so tremendous hard.
The biggest vehicle transporter in the world. After 50 days of extreme logistics, this mega challenge of a transport has reached the goal of its journey, the other end of the world. It's now officially a real mega transport.
Today on Mega Transports, a ship that ships ships. Andrei Chaikin is the captain. He avoids heavy seas, for his cargo, worth millions, must arrive safely at any price.
We try to avoid waves higher than 4 meters.
The Yacht Express is a so-called semi-submersible ship. It can flood its cargo deck. Its cargo, luxury yachts. Henry Evans is like their babysitter.
Right now it's 16 yachts floating at once. Hey, diver, talk to me!
Special divers, a special ship. On this mega transport, just about everything is special.
Probably just 2 of these in the world that transport yachts in such a spectacular way.
A shuttle service for luxury yachts. Across the Atlantic with the Yacht Express. Now. April. Luxury yachts gather around Miami like migratory birds to relocate to their summer quarters. The Mediterranean coast of southern Europe. They are waiting for the world's first and biggest specialty ship for transporting luxury yachts to arrive. The Yacht Express. It may sound simple, but for Captain Andrei, it feels like juggling raw eggs.
Yachts are very fragile creature, and crossing the Atlantic is a challenge even for big commercial ships.
209 meters long, 32.5 meters wide.
Being transported with us, they are in safe hands.
A true mega transporter. Fort Lauderdale Cargo Port, 30 kilometers north of Miami. As soon as the Yacht Express is moored, the clock starts ticking for loading master Henry Evans. He has 48 hours and not one more.
Our clientele is very scheduled with their yachts, and they need their yachts at a certain time, and our job is to make sure they're happy and get the ship right on time and be underway.
No time to go on land. Loading master Henry, Captain Andrei and the crew begin immediately with the submersion. The stern gate is lowered. The dry area where Henry is now standing will soon be flooded with ocean water several meters deep.
In about 3 hours, this will be right at water level. Tonight, the deck will be 5 centimeters above the deck level. 6 in the morning is when we'll do the final submerge, and then we'll submerge another 4.5 meters. If you see these draft marks.
The Yacht Express can sink 5.8 meters, down to a maximum depth of 14 meters.
Captain Henry, Captain Henry.
Henry, go ahead.
Yeah, Cap, just looking at the deck, if tomorrow 13.1's no problem.
No, it doesn't matter, 13 or 13.2, same thing.
The submersion begins. Up on the bridge, Captain Andrei controls 4 pumps below in the hull. They fill the ballast tanks until the ocean washes over the deck's edge.
This will be a critical part because during final submersion, when the water start flooding the cargo deck, ship stability will be reduced drastically, and during those 1.5 hours I will be watching the list very carefully until we are on a final draft.
And that's how the cargo is loaded. The pumps fill the ballast tanks with seawater. The Yacht Express sinks. Once the cargo deck is flooded, the luxury yachts pull in. So far, everything is easy. But then, the Yacht Express will rise again. Its cargo deck, including the parked yachts, will be out of the water and dry. Every individual yacht must land precisely on the wooden blocks. The problem, wood is easy on the hull, but it drifts away underwater.
So just making sure everything's welded, because tomorrow when we sink, you'll have a big problem if one of these blocks float. Boom, 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 boom.
This time, Henry has to take care of 16 luxury yachts. By tomorrow evening at the latest, they must be out of the water again. Early the next morning, even before sunrise, it's already rush hour at Fort Lauderdale's cargo port. As planned, the mega transporter has sunk to sea level. This is the critical moment. Captain Andre does not want to be disturbed. Water from the harbor floods inside the Yacht Express through openings on the side. At first, the water gathers in the middle of the cargo deck floor, the deepest point. Soon, it also streams through the stern gate. In 2 hours, the cargo deck is flooded. At sunrise, Henry and the ship's crew review the loading plan. But first, the yachts that were brought here by the mega transporter have to leave the deck.
All these big motor yachts are professional captains, so they know exactly what they're doing. They can drive in, drive out. Again, it's timing. Like now we are an hour behind schedule, which is normal because you want to take your time bringing in this cargo inside.
Loading begins with the so-called sail-in. 16 yachts drive onto the cargo deck. Smaller yachts could be loaded onto normal cargo ships with cranes. But luxury yachts can only travel, without risk of scratching, on ships like the Yacht Express. But security has its price. Depending on the size, it's about $250,000 per voyage. At 10 a.m., the first luxury yacht moors. Each of the 16 ending positions is precisely laid out, strictly according to Henry's plan. The second luxury yacht comes. Its length puts it in the category of mega yachts. The Skyfall. Furnished by Patrick Knowles, the Versace of yacht cabin designers. The $30 million yacht is more than 57 meters long and was built in 2010. There is space for 12 guests, jacuzzi on deck, 6 luxury cabins. 1 week's rent costs about $300,000.
Yeah, well, Skyfall is a private charter, so we have a private owner, and Skyfall named after the James Bond movies. We do a lot of Bahamas, we're going to Greece, and we'll stay around Italy and France.
Alexander's Price is the so-called rider of the Skyfall. Once the yacht is moored, the rest of the crew leaves the ship. Only Alexanders and one engineer are allowed to cross the Atlantic with the Skyfall. A real privilege.
Probably just two of these in the world that transport yachts in such a spectacular way, so it is good to be here.
Spectacular, special, expensive. The mega transporter alone costs $60 million. The value of the yachts is 3 times as much. An insured value of $188 million is swimming in Henry's cargo deck. Change of scene. A couple of 100 meters landward, a group of professional divers is getting ready with their boss, Jeffrey Ballantyne. Their job today is to place the 16 yachts securely on the wooden blocks while the cargo deck goes dry. A dangerous job, and special too. Today, for the first time, Jeffrey is a mere observer.
30 years as a diver, it's almost longer than anybody ever makes it, because the hostility of the environment, the constant pressures have gotten me to the point where I, not retire, but I will step back and not go so much in the water anymore. With a smile, I say it is that I do hurt every day when I get up.
Today, for the first time, it's his son, Bowie, who's the boss in the water.
I want him to be retired and happy with his wife at home and not have to worry about anything at all. You know, I just want, he just turned 52, so for me, the earlier I can get him retired, the better. I want all the stress off of him so he can enjoy himself. You know, because I'm young and, like, I mean, in the past 2 days, I think I worked almost 40 hours. So, yeah, after this, I'm gonna go do some hot yoga.
In Fort Lauderdale Harbor, the sail-in is still in full swing.
Everybody ready for today? Hey, everything ready?
Once in the harbor, Father Jeffrey turns things over to son Bowie. He will lead the 10 divers. As soon as the last yacht is moored in the cargo deck, they'll get started.
Guys, 30 minutes though, maybe 15.
Henry wants to make up some time.
And guys, now make fast on the springs, make fast on the springs. Good, that's good.
Right now, the last yacht is driving onto the mega transporter's deck. The boats are packed close together, but they must never touch one another. The transport company DYT would lose its reputation. It would be like a car company delivering luxury vehicles with dents.
And nicely done, Captain. Everything's inside, safe and sound. Always the last one in's always normal, but yep, everything's driven in safe. Divers splash, do a little briefing, and then the party really starts.
Like in a game of Tetris, 6 hours after the deck flooding, the 16 yachts are parked. But the yachts can't cross the ocean safely like this. That's why the water has to be drained from the deck first, and within 24 hours. Otherwise, the time plan is at risk. Henry gives the divers instructions. Without them, the yachts would tip over when the water sinks below their keels. The divers must stabilize them with heavy metal supports, and that requires detailed planning.
But it really should be, I mean, touching the same time. It should be like literally we can do 8 boats in an hour if we get everything squared away.
Once again, when the water drains, the divers must make sure not only that the yacht's keels sink gently and precisely onto the wooden blocks, they must also brace the yachts with metal supports to keep them from tipping over when the water recedes. The difficulty, all the supports must be positioned with absolute precision, and the divers must not get caught in the middle. Bowie must take care of something else too. As team leader, he is the one responsible for safety.
Oh, I think it's working out very well. Standing back a little bit because it's not my show anymore, it's my son's now, but I still look over the side and make sure that the tanks are away from the gangway, that people let people get off before they have to go on, and all the simplistic stuff that I'm, used to doing. So I gotta make sure that everything's okay. I just have a hard time really ripping myself away because I've done this for so long, so I hate giving it up.
The Yacht Express begins to rise. Bowie and the 4 other divers make their way to its stern. From the shore, Bowie has already discerned yet another difficulty.
The visibility is pretty horrible out there, but I've done 0 visibility dives all over the world, so it's not a big deal.
Barely in the water, Bowie already has a problem. One of his flippers came off when he jumped in, and he can't find it. Good thing Dad's there.
Number 1 rule is 2 masts, 3 fins in our company, okay? So we'll get it, no worries.
Clearly, it's too soon for Dad to retire.
Hey, Bo.
What size is that?
It's a size that'll fit you. Usually you only lose a fin when you really need it. You never use a fin if everything is calm. So when the current runs by the ship and you jump in here and it breaks, and you go down, obviously right now you can't see anything in this water, you have no chance of finding the fin again.
The current makes it difficult for the divers to brace the keels. Things get even shakier when a ship goes by and the swell hits. And around the Miami metropolitan area, there are very many and very big ships underway. At least the half-raised stern gate offers some protection. For Bowie and his crew of divers, the trick is not to get caught between the keels, the wooden blocks, or the iron supports. Later, when the yacht's keels sink down, Bowie and his divers send up updates. The divers are like an underwater eye.
Right now I'm swimming alongside the keel, checking for any protrusions, making sure that there's nothing that will cause damage if it touches directly on the cribbing wood, as these vessels are worth a lot of money.
And indeed, Bowie finds something. Now he must make sure that when the keel sinks down, this bulge comes to lie right between the 2 wooden blocks. If necessary, they'll have to move the yacht forward. They keep an eye on everything sticking out of the keel. They continually report to Henry up top. For everyone, it's communication that matters now, and timing.
Before I go up, I want to make sure all yellows are clear of stabilizers.
The diver's job is to set up the lateral iron supports, but without letting them touch the sides of the keel. Not yet, at least.
They are very heavy and they could definitely cut off your foot or leg or injure you very badly. So we have to be careful and communicate properly. There you have to be careful because if your fingers get caught in between there, it'll slice it off instantaneously.
Each yacht's keel requires its own timing. Sometimes the divers don't get it right.
Oma! Can I go up now?
Now and again, Henry, the loading master, interrupts the sinking of the yachts. Then he has to alert Captain Andre on the bridge to stop the pumps. If the supports drift away, Bowie and his team have to bring them back to their position immediately. The supports are still not allowed to touch the keels. Under this weight, even iron could break.
Once we get them in position, then he'll start, this one's done, and this one's done, and this one's done, this one's done. But right now it's 16 yachts floating at once, trying to form the cribbing. Normal, but we'll get it done.
It's going too slow for Henry. It's already clear it will take much more time for the yachts to sink than planned. Henry gives the team new assignments.
Second, I want you to stay with the divers so you can talk to them so I can check up, okay? Right now, all three of these yachts are roughly 50 centimeters clearance, all in good position. So, all in good position, right? Stabilizers are clear, everything's good. Towboat, hey!
A speeding boat approaches.
Thank you. It's actually, legally, there's a diver's flag hanging up. No one really looks, but the door's here because of the door, but on the side casings, there's a lot of open holes, and that's where it'll leak in. And again, divers are working underneath. If they can minimum swell, safer for them.
Henry goes to the middle of the cargo deck. Despite the waves, the divers have to do their jobs.
I think there's someone there. Hey, diver, talk to me. All good? Stabilizers are clear. Thank you.
So far, the water level in the cargo deck has decreased by just about 1 meter. Everyone hopes the pumps don't fail now.
We always have a plan B. It could happen, unlikely, but we may have a stuck ballast valves or pumps not functioning. For that, we will have to stop for a while and see how we can rectify it. But that does happen regularly. So.
At any rate, now would be the worst time.
No, right now not measuring. Now it's compression with the keel. The issue is you don't want to put the stands in too early because you'll put a dent in the hole. So you have to make sure the keel begins to bite nice and hard.
The divers report. All of the yacht's keels are touching the wooden blocks. That's good. Only when the soft wood is carrying half the weight of all the yachts can their weight also be spread out over the iron supports. And at this precise moment, the captain interrupts.
In half an hour, big container ship will depart. So we're facing changes of the water level up to half a meter to 70 centimeters.
All right, we'll get this done quick, and then I can probably go up and make sure I have all the big boys done. And then we'll probably stand by for the tenders if that's okay.
But you have them down now, and when container ship passes, they will be shifted again, most probably.
That's why I'm hoping I'm going to tell you to go up 25, 30 centimeters just to make them compressed. What's up? Hey, is there anyone over here? Hey, so there's a big container ship that's going to pass that will throw a big swell. It will destroy all of our work, so we need to go up, okay?
The Yacht Express is still too low in the water. The water level in the cargo deck too high. The yacht should have been fully loaded by 8 p.m. Now the delay could really cost them.
The key is now beating this container ship. There's a big, massive container ship will suck out all the water. Yes, Captain, I believe you have one of your larger container vessels departing in, is it 30 minutes or an hour, Cap?
In 30 minutes, we'll have a large container vessel departing town.
Cap, may you advise the pilot, sir, may you advise the pilot just to go as slow as possible, just due to our critical cargo. We're at a pretty tough situation, so if he can go as slow as possible, highly appreciated. This one's finished. This one's being double checked. This one's gonna be... Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Captain. Issue is this container ship's so massive. When it passes, it takes out all the water underneath our ship. And then the ship will then sink naturally, which then means all these will float. So, time is now serious essence.
The race begins. In only 30 minutes, the team must get enough water out of the cargo deck so that not even the passing container ship will cause the water level to rise too high. In the worst case, the valuable yachts in the cargo deck would jostle around chaotically. Captain Andre keeps his eye steadily on the water level. Now we'll see if it's enough. The container ship has cast off. Its swell would also increase the danger to the divers.
Damien, tell all the divers to be safe with this container ship passing, please. What's up? Nervous? Yeah, a little bit.
The divers try to finish their work in the seconds that remain.
But you see it's vacuuming it in, and as he's vacuuming it in, our ship is sinking. And we don't want that, because we want to keep going up.
Everything now depends on the container ship's pilot. Will he make allowances for the Yacht Express, or will it be business as usual?
Slow. Easy, easy, easy. We did good. When he was coming in a hurry, the whole ship 1 meter underwater, which is fine when there's no $188 million worth of cargo inside, but now there's $188 million worth of cargo inside.
Drop forward 1125.
It went up 25 centimeters, third?
Yeah, 1125 forward. It was before 1130.
Everything went fine.
I'm just so happy about that container ship. Captain Henry, please go up as slow as possible for these tenders.
Finally, the Yacht Express can rise further. The water drains. The 16 yachts stand securely on the wooden blocks. The job is done around midnight, a few hours later than planned. The divers are soaked, exhausted, dead tired. And Bowie, how did he feel about his first job as boss in the water?
I'm feeling good. Long but successful day for the most part. I think everything will be good. We'll do a walkthrough shortly and make sure that everything worked out.
Bowie was in the water for more than 10 hours non-stop.
I feel like thank you for it to be over with finally. But another day in the office. I really love what I do, and
Henry, the loading master, and his team are also exhausted. Now they feel the strain of the completed job.
I can't feel my legs. We need some rice power. I can't stop. I'm over this. It's job well done. Everyone performed outstanding. But we still got about 24 hours of work to go.
The next morning, the deck is dry. After a short sleep, the men are back to welding. They mount additional aluminium supports to give the yachts extra stability during the Atlantic crossing. Only now that the water has drained is the work the divers accomplished yesterday visible. After 6 hours of sleep, Bowie inspects the work.
The reason why it took so long yesterday is because we had to have 6 of them touch at the same time. And all of them had different types of, see, this right here is a transducer. This isn't an issue, but when you have a very large one, such as something like this over here, protruding from the hull, you see, this was accounted for already in the plans. We did a very good job. Henry and DYT, they knew about this. They've done this before. So you can see, you could never go on something like this protruding because it'll cause damage to the yacht. And we don't want any damage. That's the main goal. It's safety first and then the yachts.
The timing was crucial, and not only under the keel. The divers also had to find just the right position for the lateral supports under difficult conditions. It is a matter of centimeters whether the keel gets dented or not.
See how this is halfway compressed? You do not want it to be totally squished, and you do not want it to be open. So right now this is handling weight, but it's not over compressed. If it's smushed, then you know the divers put the stands in too early. So that's why what took us yesterday was we wedged everything. So when they put this in, we would have no serious compression on all the yellows, and that's why all the cargo's perfect.
Perfectly secured and stabilized, the costly yachts are now ready for the crossing. They won't make their 3 p.m. departure time. On the other hand, the transporters have no damages to report to the owners. Even Jeffrey Ballantyne is satisfied with his son. Little Bowie is now a man.
I saw that you can do it. And it's very hard for me to stay away because I want to tell you how to do it. And the only time we don't argue is when you do it and you do it your way. And your best effort has always been best and perfect for me.
Bowie Ballantyne's trial by fire is behind him. But for the crew of the Yacht Express, the real job is only beginning. The Port Authority has given the Yacht Express a departure time of shortly before midnight. With 16 yachts on its cargo deck, the mega transporter disappears into the night. Leaving Fort Lauderdale, the Yacht Express begins its long journey from the southern tip of Florida across the Atlantic. Once in Europe, the ship passes through the Straits of Gibraltar and into the Mediterranean. The destination, the port of Genoa in northern Italy. A distance of more than 4,600 nautical miles, with many dangers for the valuable cargo. The mega transporter is on the high seas for about 2 weeks. Miami, Genoa, Miami is one of the main routes for the ship's owner, the Dutch transport company DYT. In 2007, the Yacht Express was the first transport ship of its kind and cost $16 million. At 209 meters long and 32 meters wide, and with a high speed of 18 knots, it is still an exceptional mega transporter. It allows yacht owners to offer their luxury boats in the Mediterranean in the summer and in the warmer Caribbean in the winter. A multi-million-dollar business. Fort Lauderdale and Genoa. Captain Andre knows both ports well, especially their pitfalls, and that helped this time on departure.
We often moored in the middle of the fairway, and we have to struggle sometimes with the passing traffic. And when a vessel is submerged on deep drafts, we do feel interaction from big container ships passing by. But in Genoa, there's another thing. There are very strong winds, especially in autumn, coming from the mountains that can affect cargo operations as well.
In order to keep the yachts from jostling unnecessarily in the ocean waves, Captain Andre travels at an average speed of only 15 knots. Most luxury yacht owners take advantage of the Yacht Express's transport service. 2 crew members generally stay on the yachts to maintain and repair it. On the biggest yacht on board, the Skyfall, Alexander's job is to give the exquisite sun decks an occasional good scrubbing. And his captain has given him a special task via satellite telephone. He should remove lime deposits from the propellers and polish them. This is not a cosmetic, but rather a necessary maintenance. The task takes the young Australian half a day, and he has an ideal opportunity to carry it out.
We don't get taken out of the water too much, so this is our one and only opportunity, and it's a good opportunity to get crew away for holiday. So 2 weeks holiday for the other crew members.
Alexander's has nearly finished his job for today, but there is still one thing left to do.
Prop Speed's a marine coating to help prevent growth on the propellers. Growth on the propellers means more friction. It helps eliminate more drag on the boat, so you go quicker.
To do his work, Alexander's gets water and electricity from the mega transporter. Time to look around. It took 1.5 years to build at a Chinese shipyard. The so-called floating deck system was groundbreaking for its time. Before that, yachts could only be loaded onto ships by means of cranes. The new procedure was especially gentle on the keel. The 20-man crew is made up mostly of Filipinos, Russians, and Ukrainians. All the crew members of the yachts are allowed to share in the 3 daily meals served in the ship's canteen. The Yacht Express has a fitness room, spacious cabins, conference rooms, and a movie theater. In addition to a panorama bar, there is even a swimming pool. Small but nice. It is only filled on hot days, however. It is also worth taking a look inside the mega transporter's hull. Much is reminiscent of a submarine, and this is, of course, a semi-submersible. But only semi. The Yacht Express cannot submerge fully. Chief Engineer Andrei Tochilov on his inspection rounds. A corridor about 160 meters in length connects the superstructure with the engine at the stern. In between are the ballast tanks.
And here is the main ballast tanks are displaced. Now we are actually in the area of ballast tank number 4 and number 5. Tank top, ballast tanks is beside the bulkheads and everywhere.
While the chief engineer goes to the heart of the ship, the engine, officers on the bridge watch the weather and the waves. They must pay much closer attention than most officers on other large ocean vessels. Captain Andrei Chaikin once had to dodge a storm on the high seas. The waves would have given the cargo too much of a jolt. If the waves exceed a critical height, the yachts can even tip over.
We try to avoid waves higher than 4 meters. Usually that's close to what we're allowed to go through. With the cargo we have on board, you really have to monitor the weather.
They will reach the port of Genoa in 2 days. Then the Yacht Express will once again flood its ballast tanks.
Make it watertight so the spaces are separate. We will not sunk.
Each time before the cargo deck is flooded, Chief Engineer Andrei Tochilov checks all the doors. In a labyrinth of corridors and engine rooms, all must be closed during flooding. Especially the large gate to the cargo deck. If water were to break through here, it would rush into the superstructure. Thankfully, the large gate is hermetically sealed, so the water can't get in. The heart of the mega transporter, the engine room. 2 8,700 kilowatt diesel alternators create power for the propeller's electric drive. To fill the ballast tanks, the Yacht Express has 4 pumps. Each one can pump up to 1.2 million liters per hour. That means 1 large room-sized aquarium per second. Should water unexpectedly enter the ship and block the way, emergency corridors connect the lower deck to the top. The Yacht Express is designed for business growth. With a maximum speed of 18 knots, it is the fastest ship of its kind. Short transport times are important, especially for charter companies whose luxury yachts need to be booked all over the world each week. In addition to its ability to gulp down 35,000 tons of seawater, the Yacht Express has another special feature. At the bow and the stern, 2 so-called spud poles hang from wire cables. After mooring, the mega transporter can use these poles to bore into the seabed of the harbor. This keeps it stable while the yachts are driving in and out. The journey across the Atlantic is almost over. One more night, then Andrei Chaikin will guide his ship into the port of Genoa. There, the yacht's crews will come on board again. The summer season in the Mediterranean is beginning. The coast is in sight. Captain Andrei was able to make up time and will deliver his cargo on schedule, if the weather over northern Italy doesn't upset his plans. Clouds gather quickly, a sign of possible wind. 1 hour to go. Wind speed in the Bay of Genoa is still within an acceptable range.
So if the wind is strong, we may decide on using additional tugs to assist us, but as it looks today, the wind is favorable, so we will maneuver ourselves. If the speed will exceed 30 knots or so, we may decide on postpone.
Wind would create waves. A secure sail-out would no longer be possible. Genoa is Italy's largest port. For a brief moment, the clouds open up. Suddenly, there is almost no wind at all. Captain Andre takes advantage of the opportune moment. 14 days after departing Fort Lauderdale, the Yacht Express docks on schedule.
And Yuri, please tell me when you have breast lines on.
The ship's crew tightens the mooring lines. The mega transporter has now been secured.
It's good. So today we were extremely lucky with weather. You see, nice and shiny and absolutely no wind. So coming alongside was really nice and easy job. And here we are. Atlantic is crossed. A bunch of mega yachts are ready to float in the Mediterranean for the new season. We made it nice and safe. So everything is so far so good.
Captain Andre immediately begins the submersion. Alexanders cleans the Skyfall's deck again. And the deckhands remove all the additional aluminium supports and transport securing devices. In 2 days, the Skyfall will pick up its first charter guests near Monaco. The next day, the cargo deck is sunk and flooded. The mega transporter submerges. The engines of the 16 luxury yachts start. Everything is ready for the sail out.
But it's cool just to see a whole different area of docking the ship. For me, it's small lines, but for these guys, they've got lines on drums, and everything's just on a bigger scale.
The Yacht Express, a unique transport ship for yachts. Its ability to cross the open sea makes the difference. Thanks to this mega transporter, luxury yachts are available to the super rich in every corner of the 7 seas, whenever they want. For the Yacht Express, its crew, and Captain Andre, it is mission accomplished. They see little of the paradises to which they deliver their precious cargo. On the horizon are the 7 seas.